Sitting here with YoYo van der Kooi for a second talk. The first talk was in Dutch. Now we're planning to talk in English.
Yes.
At your beautiful home here in Arnhem. And this is also the place where you do your work.
Indeed.
For how long?
Since when? Wow. It's a long time. I think the work started after I came back from Pune.
Yeah.
After being initiated by Osho in 1979.
Yeah.
That was actually shortly after that I won my first prize for European painting, and then I felt, well, it's time maybe to start helping people to bring out their creativity. And so it started with creative workshops, and then later it developed into working with the body, the feelings and the mind, the mindset, because I discovered that people are blocked in their creativity because of tensions, either in the body or in the emotional field or in the between the ears.
And why is creativity so important?
Maybe because what we are here on this earthly plane is a creation of the ultimate intelligence, and so we are all shaped in such a way that we have a longing to express ourselves, either in a creative way or in other ways. Like, you know, there are so many ways we can express our individuality, and I think that is a very deep longing of, I think, all the people on earth, be it consciously or unconsciously.
To create.
To create, yeah.
To participate and to create something that's good for all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my painting teachers said creativity is the ultimate expression of the ultimate individual. Yeah. So we want to express our essence through the vehicle that we have received in this life, which is a unique phenomenon.
This vehicle?
Yeah. There are no two people alike.
No, that's true. And that makes that creativity so broad and so much variety in it.
Yeah.
No one is the same, so everyone expresses this in a different way.
Yes.
Yeah. Sounds great.
It is great.
Yeah. And was Osho, I'm pointing at the picture next to you, someone who talked about creativity also a lot?
Yeah.
What did he have to say about it?
Well, actually, what Osho helped me to see is that creativity is not about perfection. We have, particularly in the West, we have a tendency to want to make everything perfect. And if you want to make things perfect, you sort of block yourself because you're setting high standards that you can never meet, and so somehow you give up, you know. If you cannot be as good as a Rembrandt or something, then you just, okay, then it's not for me.
Yeah.
Whereas he pointed out the joy of being creative without a purpose, without a goal, you know, just for the sheer joy of expressing yourself.
Doesn't have to be successful.
Yeah, doesn't have to be successful.
Yeah, it's the same when we're doing this interview. I'm like fixing the light and looking at the camera if everything is okay, and then I see this little thing that comes like it grows out of your head on the background.
Yes.
And then I'm thinking, should I worry about this? Will people not say after watching this interview, well, Patrick, couldn't you have done something about it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And at a certain point, you have to just let it go.
Yeah.
And one of my ex-partners expressed it like this: you have to leave a hole for the soul to come in. If things that you do are too perfect, it's too closed, you know.
Yeah.
There has to be a hole somewhere where the soul can come in.
Oh, that's greatly said.
Yeah.
You also make beautiful paintings.
Mm-hmm.
That is also not about perfection.
Well, there's a difference between striving for perfection and giving all that you have, you know, at a certain moment. And it's nice to just feel your way into when is this artwork, this painting ready?
Mm-hmm.
When do I stop?
Yeah.
And it's very exciting. You know, sometimes you think it's finished and then you put it in a corner and then 2 months later you see it again and say, oh, here's something that I would like to add.
Yeah.
Actually, you could be working on one painting your whole life. As you develop, as you unfold, you see more and more what could be added, you know?
Yeah.
So actually all the paintings that I've made are unfinished business.
Yeah.
Yes, but then again, it is good to also leave it in the state where you have decided, so this is, for now it's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I visit someone and I forgot that they have bought a painting from me, and I see this painting which dates from 15 years before, and all of a sudden I get a shock and I can see the beauty of the painting in the way it was made, because it is pregnant of the situation that was there then.
Yeah.
And that's very surprising. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can see that, you know, okay, I could have added this or that and that, but then it's good to just leave it like that as a kind of a testimony for a certain period of your life.
Yeah. And can you still remember the state you were in or the feelings you had when you see a picture again or a painting again you made?
It's a surprise and a feeling of excitement and gratitude at the same time. Like, wow, have I made this, you know? And more and more I come to see that it is not me making a picture. It is the ultimate creator or the ultimate intelligence that's working through me and wants to express itself through this vehicle, you know, with these characteristics.
Yeah, and qualities.
And qualities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that why you don't put YoYo on your paintings? I haven't seen any signature.
I usually forget.
Ah.
And that's maybe also not for nothing, because when I was in Khajuraho, which is the origin, the seat of the tantric schools, I walked around these temples where you have these exquisite sculptures of people in love, you know, and people in an embrace, but also people with animals. These are the ways the people at the time were attracting people to the temples. But you only see these sculptures on the outside of the temple. And as you go inside the temple, more and more the art that you see there is abstract. And in the inner sanctum there is emptiness and just the a symbol of the male and female sex organs, like the lingam and the yoni together. And that's probably to keep the people who are not ready for the emptiness of the inner sanctum outdoors, so they can just gape at these erotic scenes, and just they help people to come to terms with their sexuality, which is a basic prerequisites for the spiritual unfolding.
Yeah.
But all these beautiful sculptures, there is no signature, nowhere.
No.
So you don't see any names or whatever.
Yeah.
All these people have worked as a tool, as a vehicle for the ultimate intelligence,
Yeah.
the ultimate creator.
So what is it then, YoYo, that gives me this sense of I have to put my label on everything I create? I have to.
Well, that's also part of our unfolding. It's the ego that wants to be seen. It's the ego that wants to be recognized. That's the third chakra, and it's about the personality. We have to go through that phase on our way to enlightenment or self-realization or becoming one again. And there's no harm in that, It's a part, We have to build a strong ego, and we have to really feel like we are someone before we can let go of that narrowing, because it's like an hourglass, where at the bottom, when we are born, we are totally we are still part of the whole, We don't have an ego, we don't have a sense of I. That is what we are gradually learning. And by, as we become more aware of ourselves and more aware of our characteristics, we slowly develop that sense of I, which becomes like a very narrow passage where we are absolutely convinced that we are separate from each other and separate from the whole.
Yeah.
I am this and I am not that. This I want to be and this I don't want to be.
Yeah.
This is the ego, and we have to go through that phase of forgetting who we are in order to come to the point where in the heart chakra we can relax and open up to larger circles of connection. And then just opening until we are back into the all and one, but now consciously. The child is there, but unconsciously. And through our journey, through the chakras and the stages of awakening, we come to remember who we are, and that's what's called ecstasy. Yeah, ecstasy is associated with the beyond the crown chakra. And it means outside of the identification with a self, with the idea of self.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate liberation.
One teacher told me, also a woman, a female, that we have to go through this narrow passage to develop compassion for all and everyone.
Yes.
So that I know how it feels like to be hurt, to hurt someone, to be discriminated, and so on.
Actually, yes, it's true that we have to come to a point where we suffer so much from the illusion of separation that at some point we surrender. We give up our attempts to become, better than the other, or to become richer than the others, to become famous. And that we sort of either we break or we melt into the heart dimension, which is about compassion, about understanding. It's about understanding that we are not separate. It's the beginning, the dawning, the heart chakra's dawning of the journey back home, so to speak.
Now, are there certain ages where those things happen for people?
Well, in my courses and in my book, I am speaking about 7 levels of awakening, and I associate the chakras that are the symbols of the journey with 8 levels of 8 years. So the first 8 years in our lives, we are finding our place on earth, so to speak. And the first chakra is about survival strategies, and it's about belonging, the feeling of belonging. So in the first 8 years, we have to deal with the parents that we have, and we develop certain strategies to cope with the specific characteristics of our father and our mother. And we develop a sense of safety, of security in the family, you know.
Yeah.
And the second 8 years are about the second chakra, which is the awakening of sexuality and intimacy. And that's the first step. That's why sexuality and intimacy are so important. The first step back to connection. It's like you in a body we are sort of isolated, and we fall in love with another person, another being, and we need this feeling of being in love to overcome the fear of losing yourself into something that's bigger than you. And so that's how we learn about the beginnings of love, the first stages of love.
And by love you mean?
Love is from the heart. It's the feelings that come from the heart.
Yeah, that cannot be rationalized.
It starts with sexuality, and also the second chakra is about emotions, because sexuality is usually very mixed up with emotions.
Yeah.
So we learn about jealousy, we learn about anger, we learn about fear, all these basic feelings that we need to experience, during our journey.
And why do we need to experience them? To develop compassion, or to
to come? Yeah. Well, actually, the journey in a body on planet Earth is like going to the movies. We are curious. We want to experience all kinds of things, and so we also need to forget that we are in a movie house. It has to be real. So, like when you go to the movies, you don't sit there and just tell yourself it's just a screen, it's just images, it's not true, it's just an illusion. No, you want to just go in there, totally lose yourself and associate yourself with the actors, as if you are them. And it's the same with life on earth. We are curious, we want to experience all kinds of things, and by experiencing them we add to the totality of what is possible on earth. It's like the ultimate intelligence is constantly expanding through the experiences of all the beings that it creates.
Beautifully said. Then from age 16 to 24, the next 8 years?
Yeah, that's where we start separating ourselves from the parents, and we want to stand alone. We want to stand on our own. And we want to become someone, So that's why we learn and we study and we get diplomas and stuff so that we can really become someone special.
Yeah.
Also associated with the second chakra and looking for a partner and procreation and you know, making sure that the offspring can be fed and can be educated and stuff. You know?
Yeah.
That's the third chakra. And then in the process of winning a mate, you know, it's important to have big cars or at least, you know, a motorcycle or the right tattoos, you know.
Yeah.
And that's all about age 16 to 24. And it's about searching for your uniqueness. How am I different from other people? How do I distinguish myself from others? How can I be the best?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does that go on also for the next 8 years, or does there come a shift?
Yeah,
again?
24 to 32, that's where the heart space begins to enter into your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, in the relationship, sexuality unfolds into love, if all goes well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And YoYo, I heard that the age 40, that's like a crisis age for a lot of people. Do you agree that the old stuff doesn't work anymore?
Well, age 40 is the end of the fifth chakra, which is about honesty, about pure communication. You know, it's the throat chakra. And it is the threshold between the fifth chakra and the sixth chakra, which is about non-duality, looking beyond the opposites.
Mm-hmm.
And age 40 is also the age where we have to learn about honesty, and it's the age where many of the relationships get into a crisis because, you know, you've been together for so long, you want to look for other people, you know, to have other aspects of yourself reflected, and in that process it happens that people fall in love with another person and they break the vow of you know, being true to the other.
Yeah.
And many times you see that people cannot be honest about that, so they do it secretly, and then when it's being found out, they're in trouble because then the mate usually, you know, does not accept that. And
is this a story from your own life? Because you smile when you talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have also gone through all these stages also in my relationships.
Yeah.
When my second relationship, when I found out that he had a girlfriend that he had not shared with me, I was very rigorous and I just said, enough, you know, and I broke the relationship. And in my third relationship, I had learned from that, and I was beginning to discover that it is possible to love more than one person, and to also feel physically attracted to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And in that relationship, which has lasted almost 12 and a half years, I had the opportunity to work my way through that, you know. Like, my partner fell in love with someone else at a certain point, and I said, okay, that's probably what you need right now for your own development. Mm-hmm. So you just go ahead. And for a time that was okay, but then, you know, more and more he went to see her and he started doing handiwork, helping her out, you know, with all kinds of things. And then he came home only for doing the laundry.
Oh.
I slipped into bed around 2 or 3 o'clock at night. And at a certain point I felt, no, I can't take this, you know.
No.
So I went to live in my studio, and I said, look, I can see that you need this, and it's okay, but I don't want to be on top of it, so I'll just take a little bit of distance. And then after a few weeks he came to me, he said, it's not possible. I cannot be with this woman if you're not there. And so, and yeah, I felt that you are so important for me that I will break off the relationship. So he did. But she was a colleague of his, and so they kept seeing each other, and she kept putting flowers on his desk and stuff, and although they didn't have sex anymore together, it was still, you know, befriended with her. And so one day he asked me if it was okay to invite her for dinner with us.
Oh, that's a test.
It was a test.
Yeah. Did you agree?
And yeah, I agreed.
Yeah.
And we had a very nice dinner. And then after that, we sat in the living room, and we were having coffee together. And then I could see those what do you call it? Sparks between their eyes, you know. Yeah. And I could feel that there was just this longing for physical contact. And but they were just behaving, you know.
But did they maybe come to ask your approval again, or how did they come to ask your approval again for this?
No. She wanted to be also, you know, loyal to me, and she had this friendship with him, you know. But these looks and these sparks were so obvious that at some point I just stood up. I said, "Come on, folks, you just go and go to bed with each other again, you know, because this is you're not ready. You're not finished together." No. And strangely enough, they did, you know, pick up their sexual relationship. Mm-hmm. But strangely enough, after that, I did not have a problem with it anymore. I don't know what happened in between, but maybe I had come to see that it is true that you cannot just get to know yourself only through one person. Anyway.
And this was an example of honesty.
Yeah, and I really appreciated his honesty.
Yeah.
You know, he never lied about this, and he said, "Look, I can't help it. I have these feelings for this woman, and I don't know what it is." So, but by and by, gradually, they saw each other less and less and less, and then in the end, they were just friends. You know, without me demanding anything of the kind. So that was good. But what I found out later is that it's very important to be honest about it, and that it's important for a couple to keep looking at the contract they have made, because if sexual monogamy is one of the implicit parts of the contract, then it's not good to just go ahead with, you know, experimenting with other people without sharing that with your partner. And of course, if your partner is not enlightened enough to accept that you break the contract and withdraws, that's a risk that you have to take. Yeah. And that's a risk that many people in a certain stage of their life are very unwilling to take. So they rather do it secretly than be open about it. Yeah. And that's understandable from that stage of consciousness.
YoYo, can you tell us some more what happens after the age of 40? 40, 48 is...
Yeah, between 40 and 48, that's the sixth chakra, which is the third eye, and that has to do with by realizing that what we see as opposites are really two sides of the same coin, you know, and that everything that we attribute to another person in the way of judgment are reflections of parts of yourself that you have somehow suppressed or not even discovered, that you have a judgment on. And this chakra is about slowly coming to see that everything that you attribute to another, which you think or say that's not me, is really also a part of you. That's quite a process, and it's also very liberating in that your world becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, because you can embrace, if you do the work inside, you know, to come to terms with all these reflections. It is a period where you start embracing more and more of yourself as you see it reflected in the other. And this also makes that we are less fearful. The fear of the other, the fear of the enemy, just subsides as when you can see that the enemy is not the other person. The enemy is a part of yourself that you are opposing and that you cannot digest as yet. Yeah.
Can you maybe name an example how that works? When you meet someone, a co-worker or a boss, or
yeah, for me it works like this, you know. First of all, you become aware of the feelings that this person inspires in you, like irritation or fear or anger or feeling of murderous lust.
Yeah.
And it's important to give yourself permission to feel these feelings, to have these feelings, to acknowledge that they are there. Now, if you really do that to the bottom, acknowledging these feelings and feeling these feelings, then what happens is that they subside. And after that, you can look again, and you can ask yourself, when you look at the person, what is it that this person reflects of me?
Yeah.
And then it's nice if you can come to discover why these aspects of yourself are undigestible, why you have rejected them, why you have opposed them, and then gradually start to experiment with that behavior. And that can be very funny. Like an example, I had been to the sauna with a friend, and after that we sat at the bar for a drink, and there were a few more people sitting there, and there were two guys who were talking very loudly. And really like in such a way that I could not understand the friend I was with, and I started to become so irritated, you know, and I didn't want to interrupt, but I felt I could not really concentrate on our conversation anymore. And then all of a sudden I realized that what was irritating me was the behavior of these guys, who were so, you know, not at all conscious of the other people around them. And I said, so I would never do such a thing. And then I asked myself, wouldn't I? Well, let's try. So that moment, I continued the conversation with my friend, and I just put up the volume of my voice even more than their volume.
Oh.
So and then we go down. All of a sudden, these two guys, they look like this, like,
and they got
it. They got it, and they lowered their voices.
Yeah.
And so I got their eyes, and I just winked at them, you know, and they got the message.
Yeah.
And it was such a relief.
Yeah. Because you allowed yourself to also act in this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the same I have with neighbors. Then some neighbor parks his car just in the street where there's normally no parking space, but that's convenient for him because he doesn't have to walk too far to his front door. It starts irritating me because I never dare to park my car over there. I would like to park my car over there sometime, because I know it's easier also, but I don't dare because I'm afraid I'll get comments from the neighbors about this. He just does it. There's some spiritual teachers who say to me, and that's why this guy puts his car over there, to make you aware of the fact that you are afraid to park your car over there, and you're afraid to get angry faces from your neighbors. Yeah. Is that true?
It's the same. It's the same thing.
Same mechanism.
Yes.
But you dare to higher your voice.
Yes.
Is that because you're not afraid then, or you know how it works?
Actually, you know, part of my unfolding was through the avatar courses, where you learn about these things, where you learn about that everything you see is your interpretation of what you see, so that everything you see is really you, you know, and that the only thing you need to do is to just take ownership of the projections that you have made. Mm-hmm. And so this was one thing in practice that I allowed myself to do.
Yeah. That's after age 40, you become aware of those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we grow older. We go to 65, 56, 56.
Yes. No, 40, 48, and then from 50, 56.
Yeah.
Yeah, to 56. That's what I call the crown chakra, which is about knowing, and it's about reclaiming your innocence, the innocence that you had when you were a child, you know, but now consciously. When you have reconciled the opposites, you know, in yourself and between you and the others and the world, then you start seeing clear, and then you start realizing that there is no right and wrong, that there's only discovery in ever unfolding expansions. And in my courses, I have combined art forms with all the chakras, and the seventh chakra for me is about clowning.
Clowning?
Yes, because the clown is innocent, you know, he can just be clumsy, he can just show his shortcomings, his limitations, you know, and people are allowed to laugh about him, and it doesn't bother him.
No.
So in a way, he's free.
Yeah.
And also the court jester is also part of the seventh chakra. He's the only one who can make fun of the king, you know.
Yeah.
But he has to be very clever and wise. He's the wise fool, because if he goes too far, his head will be chopped off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's a very subtle wisdom that you develop in that stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the final one, the eighth.
The eighth chakra, which is the the transformation point, I call it, from being identified with your body, with your feelings, with your mind, to becoming again part of the whole, you know, where you are just pure being, and where you are totally present in the moment. And for that I use tantric exercises, and the idea is to create situations where people can experience ecstasy. We just talked about ecstasy, you know, as ecstasy, where you are no longer bothered about who you are and what people think of you, or what, you know, because you are just conscious of the totality that this body mind has arisen from, and where this body mind in the end will disappear into. And that's what I call the ultimate freedom, from where you can, if you just reach that realization, from where you can really start enjoying your life as a playground, really, where you can try out everything, and where nothing is wrong, and where you can just trust that existence is carrying you.
Yeah, but that's only at that age. I cannot realize this at age 35 or 40.
Well, of course, you know, the chakra model is a model.
Mm-hmm.
It does not mean that people cannot get enlightened at age 21.
Mm-hmm.
There are several examples of that. And it doesn't mean that there are not people who even after age 64 haven't seen the light, and will never see the light until they die.
What does it depend on? Do you have to be ripe for it, or?
Well, I'm inclined to say that it's there are several ways you can look at that, but you can say it's just coincidence or good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Other people say it has to do with karma. I'm inclined to say that, you know, look at the trees. There are millions and millions of seeds falling from the trees every autumn, and only a couple of them fall into the earth and come to sprouting.
Yeah.
So the people who do not get it, or go back into the recycling without having woken up to this realization, it doesn't mean that they are lesser people than the ones who are lucky enough to see the light.
Yeah.
But they happen to not meet the right people. They happen to not get into the right situations where these clicks can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this model is not for everyone.
Well, it's just for those people who are curious about themselves, and who are not afraid to encounter parts of themselves that until that moment they have not faced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does it take a brave person to go for it?
Yeah, or at least people who have experienced things in their lives that have given them the insight that there is something missing, that there must be more to life, you know? Yeah. And usually it's only after certain things have happened, like an illness, or you're losing your job, or you're losing your wealth, or whatever, when things in life, in your material situation, break down, that you just sit and ask yourself, now, what is it really about? Life? What is it that I really want, you know? And that's usually the point at which people start looking for places where they can do the work, as I call it.
Yeah. For me, the question always was, how come this world doesn't make me happy for a long time? Then my question to you is also, can the world make you happy?
Well, as the world is just your creation of the world, there's only one thing that we need to come to realize, and that is that it's only ourselves, it's only myself who can make me happy, or rather happiness is in here, and we are looking it out there.
Yeah.
And we have to make a 180-degree turn and go inside and remove layers of unconsciousness in order to reach to the treasure of happiness, you know.
Yeah.
Happiness is our intrinsic birthright, so to speak, but it has to be uncovered.
Yeah. And that
no other person can make you happy.
No person.
We are looking for happiness in our partner, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
the partner cannot make you happy. Wealth cannot make you happy. It doesn't have to make you unhappy either.
Mm-hmm.
But fame cannot make you happy. And this is something that we need to learn to come to realize during the journey.
But should we then go out and try everything, try to get happy by gaining fame, gaining money, gaining the best partner, the best car?
Apparently that's what we do.
Yeah, we still try it. It doesn't work if we
Yes.
we both say to the watcher, the viewer, don't try it.
No.
You
No,
have
we
to
have
find
to.
out.
Yeah. We have to just go through all these attempts to find happiness out there, you know, until we have come to a saturation point where a shift can happen.
Yeah. And that shift, is that what people mean by getting enlightened or waking up?
Yeah, that's the shift. Well, the shift can be the beginning of a trajectory that we choose, you know, to do inner work, to find out about who we really are. The shift does not mean that instantly there is self-realization. There may be a way to go, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have an explanation, YoYo, why it looks like so many people are interested in this subject of self-realization the last 10, 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
How come?
Yes, well, that's because apparently more and more people come to realize that there is more to life than what they are living. Here in our Western world, which is a very material world, we seem to slowly have come to a saturation point where we can see that this is ultimately not making me happy.
Yeah.
And that's where the self-inquiry may start. Yeah.
Yeah. You just started translating your Dutch book into English.
Mm-hmm.
Do you already have the title of the book in English?
Yes, the title is Blossoming in the Bog. And I like the alliteration, which is also in the Dutch title. Yeah. And it's a metaphor of the lotus that takes its nourishment from the
dirt,
the mud and the stinking marsh or moor or bog, you know, and transforms it into beauty. And that's also how we as humans can use the shit of the world, the shit in ourselves, and transform it into wisdom, knowing, the ultimate unconditional love that we we all can develop.
Yeah.
Which starts with an unconditional love for yourself, including, you know, all your failures, including all your horrible devilish side, everything, you know, and that's quite a job. Yeah.
Yeah. And when is the book to be released in English?
It will probably be available as a PDF by the end of this year.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit before.
Are you planning to do any courses in foreign countries than the Netherlands?
I have been invited to come and do workshops in Thailand and in the Philippines. And I'm looking forward to that very much. Because usually I do retreats in Europe, which I continue to do, by the way. But it's also nice to go to the East, where I have found a lot of inspiration for the work that I do, you know. And so it's also nice to be able to do something back and work with the people there. Yeah.
And you have a title for the course you give. You want
Flowering.
Flowering.
Flowering, yeah.
Because of the
because of this idea of the blossoming in the bog, you know, where you can just transform any shit that's inherent in you or in the world, can transform it into innocence, beauty, understanding, and conditional love.
And how do I know if I'm flowering or I'm still stuck in the mud and not growing?
Well, actually, you know, a sign for you that you are developing into this beauty is that you feel more and more at ease with yourself, more and more relaxed in all kinds of situations, more and more at ease with all kinds of people that you meet on the way. That's a sign that you are expanding your perception of the world.
Yeah. And not trying to make people into something that is less threatening to you or that you like more, or just leaving people.
Yeah, you stop wanting to change people to accommodate you.
Yeah.
You can let people be who they are and love them and accept them where they are in their stage of development.
Yeah.
So you develop more understanding for why people act this way or behave that way.
And how come that this process, these courses you give, works better in a group than one-on-one, or is that not true?
I also do one-on-one work, but the group has the advantage that you can serve as a mirror to the others, and all the others are mirroring, reflecting aspects of you that you had not discovered before.
Yeah.
So both, you know, your positive sides and your negative sides, and so it is very helpful for the work when you are in a group.
Yeah. And do you still accept people for new groups? Is there room?
Yeah. Every spring and every autumn, in principle, I start with a new group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and twice a year I do a retreat, a 1 week retreat in a European country as well.
Yeah.
Like in October we go to Sardinia, and in spring next year we go to Samos in Greece.
And why especially those places?
Well, Samos has become, you know, the owner of the center there has become a good friend, and we have been going there off and on for 15 years with groups. But I sometimes also go to France or to England or to Italy or Portugal.
Yeah.
Depends upon what presents itself.
And how come you are still so enthusiastic about doing these courses, working with those people? You could easily say, well, I'm now over age 70, I'm gonna sit on the couch all day with a nice box of chocolates and watch my favorite TV show, even though I don't see a TV in here, but that's another story.
I do like chocolates, and I do watching TV and movies. Yes, but this is it's something that's so fulfilling. This work, and it is so enriching, because I continue to also unfold more and more and more with each and every person that joins my groups. It is.
It works two ways.
It works two ways. Yes, yes, and so this is something. It is a passion that you can follow until the grave. As long as I live, and can walk and talk and hear and see, I can do this work. Yeah, and it becomes more and more effective also as you grow older and have had more experiences. You can come up with better suggestions, and you can understand more of what's going on in people.
Yeah.
And so you can find the adequate answers to the questions that arise.
Yeah. Bringing it back to the beginning of this interview, can you say that beautiful being on the photo next to you, Osho, and his initiation, that this is all a result of that?
Yeah, actually it has started there. When I sat before him, I thanked him for the miracles that had happened to me during my time in Pune, because I really experienced a couple of miracles there. And then he had this subtle smile, and he said, many more miracles are going to happen after this. And that's what has happened, More and more I become miracle-mindedness. I can see the wonders of nature. I can see the wonders of the physical body. I can see the wonders of our feelings, the wonders of our minds, our sharp minds. And it's all becoming more and more miraculous. More and more a complete mystery. And I no longer try to solve the mystery. More and more I am living the mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for this great talk. When people want to reach you, you have a very easy website in the sense of the website address. It's yoyo.nl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
YoYo.nl.
Yeah, yeah.
YoYo.nl.
Yeah, that sounds good. And there's going to be an English version of the site also.
Yes, I'm about to just add a part with an English flag, where people can find the information that may be useful for people abroad about my retreats and also my courses and workshops. Because I love to also go abroad and do workshops wherever there are 8 people or more who would like to do the work with me.
Yeah. And Skype sessions with people from abroad, are you open to that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Skype name is Humanifold. It is a non-existing word which I have invented myself. It's about
human?
It's a combination of humanity and manifold.
Yeah.
It means just the manifold options that we have living in a body as a human being.
Ah, Humanifold.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to search you up on Skype. Thanks for this talk, and till next time.
Welcome.